Welcome to the station, Kentucky's conservative outpost, the only program in Kentucky and the city of Louisville that deals with news and politics from a conservative perspective. So thanks for joining us. I'm your host, Tom Fallbush. I have Jim Waters with me today as well with the Bluegrass Institute, and Bob Scott, the intrepid Bob Scott, and from his outpost.
The Bob Scott Institute.
The Bob Scott Institute and his remote outpost in rural Kentucky and the dangers and the wiles of rural Kentucky. So today we have a really fascinating guest with us, and fascinating guest for a lot of reasons. He's a recent primary winner in his Republican State Senate primary, and he's also a former Navy SEAL. And so we're shooting this program within the week of the Republican National Convention, which is a few days after the assassination attempt on Donald Trump. And so, since we were fortunate to have our guest Aaron Reed with us, and we thought we'd just touch on that because there's there's just a lot of aspects of that I think we could flush out, and I'd love to get his opinion on some of these things. So we're going to talk about that first. So if I'm sure everyone has seen or heard that there was a shooting. Someone attempted to take out Donald Trump and last Saturday, and I happened to be watching that live with my dad. We were just watching the rally, and all of a sudden crack, and then crack, and everybody was dunking, and Aaron, we'll bring Aaron on real quick, but Aaron, one of the first things I noticed, and this is kind of a technical thing, I'm kind of a shooter, so I kind of noticed this right out of the gate, but if you were listening to the sounds of the bullets, you could hear the bullet fly by the microphone and create a little sonic boom. There's a little crack, a little like a pop, and then shortly after that was the report of the rifle. And so I knew right away this was a distance shot. This was a sniper. This is somebody that's firing from a distance. This wasn't somebody 10 feet away in the crowd. This was somebody that was firing away. And they were firing a rifle. They were firing a rifle that was supersonic in its speed of the bullet. And so in other words, in an AR-15, just for those that don't know, the bullet travels about 2,200 feet per second, and it's 2,400 feet per second. Or maybe it's faster. Maybe it's closer to 3,000. I forget. It's really fast. And speed of sound is about half of that, right? So if you're 150 yards away, like Donald Trump is, you don't hear the bullet. You don't hear the gun go off. All you hear is a pop of the bullet flying by and creating a small sonic boom in your ear. And so that's why it hit him, and he jerked because he didn't hear a gunshot. He just heard a snap in his ear and a pain, and then thank God he dropped, when he did. Because,
and he turned his head.
And so,
the right way, yeah.
Exactly right. So if you're trained in this sort of thing, or understand the physics of that, it's like I told my dad right away. I said, "Dad, that's a sniper. They're shooting about several hundred yards away, and because you can hear the sonic booms." And then also at the end of that little moment, there's several shots that were outgoing shots. Right, that were the return shots. All you heard was the gunshot. You didn't hear the pop of the sonic boom.
That was the other
because the bullets are going away from the microphone. So fascinating stuff just from the physics standpoint. But Aaron, I'm going to bring you on. Can we bring him up on the screen there? Do we have him? There we go. Okay, there we go. there we go. Okay, and so you are a trained Navy SEAL sniper. That your background is you were a Navy in the Navy SEALs. So you understand the physics of this sort of thing. And so I'd love to just get your take on all this. And what do you, obviously, I think the country, as well as Donald Trump, dodged a bullet that day. I can't imagine where we would be as a country if Donald Trump was assassinated. I think it would be so fractious that I don't know what we could even do this show. And so, but Aaron, what are your thoughts on that whole event?
Well, is the final distance we figured was like 140 to 150 yards?
Exactly. Yeah, 130, 150. Yeah.
Sniper to be able to do anything that great at that distance.
Exactly.
I trained my 11-year-old who I really wouldn't. We'd take about 10 minutes and he'd be hitting a pie plate at 150 yards, no problem.
That's right.
A lot of rounds were fired, and when I also heard the same thing. I heard the snap, 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 and then you hear all the reports from the reporters telling us how it could have been a BB gun or something along the lines, and it was very obvious that it was gunshots. And I think people, President Trump is extremely blessed and lucky to be alive right now, because that was such an easy shot for a long gun that I can't explain how easy. And so many things could have happened that were way worse. And we lost a citizen in the crowd there, was killed. And honestly, I would say that it was probably because he was looking at President Trump, and those bleachers were pretty high there. He was probably shooting between people to kind of get to the president.
Right.
The fact that building was left unguarded is unexcusable. There should have been, our guys should have been on there. You should have Secret Service, local SWAT guys on that roof, basically holding space on every tactical advantage around that spot. And there really is no excuse. And the leadership of this need to be held accountable. And I've seen where they've talked about the buck stops with me, and that means you're done, you're out.
Right. Absolutely.
I got a quick question.
Go ahead.
about
Yeah, sure.
The policy of the Biden administration when it comes to the Secret Service has been to implement DEI measures. And I just think this is a good point, a good place to point out that these policies have extreme consequences. These can be matters of life and death.
That's right.
Because we've got a Secret Service director, let's just say, that's incompetent, shouldn't have been in there, and the goal should not be to accomplish DEI initiatives, but to have the very best agents. We needed 6'7" guys in front of the president.
Absolutely.
I'm just going to say it.
Well, to your point, this is interesting because it made a really good shot at the end of the day. But there was a female secret agent or Secret Service agent that was in front of Donald Trump that was trying to escort him off the stage, but she was about a foot shorter than everybody else.
And she wasn't able to handle her weapon. She was she was having all kinds of problems. It's obvious. Aaron, what do you think about that and the impact that a policy like DEI, for example, can have on security like that of the president?
I think it was painfully obvious on the grand stage. We finally were able to see it with our own eyes. Why requirements for everything.
Okay, but it's say that sentence again, if you could.
So it's extremely important that we need to implement requirements, like make a requirement for this job and take off any gender or race, anything.
That's
and
right.
Just requirement. How much weight do I need to carry? How tall do I need to be? How fast do I need to run? And how good do I need to shoot? It's painfully obvious that
well
this
said.
is
Well said. And just one more question about just the response. And if you saw the video of this, that you could see clearly behind Donald Trump the counter snipers. I guess they were the Secret Service counter snipers sitting up on the roof behind him. And so, and there's lots of shots of these guys with their rifles trained in that direction. And I wonder if they could see. I haven't heard for sure, but could they see the shooter for moments up until that happened? And if so, what would prevent them from taking the shot if they saw someone? That blows my mind. But I kept thinking, well, maybe they just can't see him. Maybe they.
I want to give a shout out to Representative James Comer, who's the head of this committee that's going to investigate this.
Right.
And I hope that they will dig down. There's a lot of unanswered questions.
Of those questions.
There apparently were law enforcement officials in that building.
That's right.
Right there.
That's right.
And whether they were Secret Service or not, I mean, you're talking about the president, a former president here.
Well, and we're also hearing that they supposedly, the snipers had the guy in their sights for about 2 to 3 minutes.
That's what I was saying. Yeah, right. If that's the case,
why didn't they take the shot?
That's happening. Going back to, we were talking earlier about the actual agents that were around the president trying to protect him. A lot of those apparently were outsourced. When I say outsourced, they were not Secret Service agents, but I think they were referred to as Treasury agents who are not.
Aaron, Aaron, what do you think about this? How important is it that this investigation be transparent and complete? It might be the most important investigation that we've ever seen in our lifetime, I think. What do you think about that?
here to defend democracy.
Misinformation poses a threat to our nation's health.
Climate change is an emergency.
Democratic socialism.
Codify women's right to choose.
Hell yes, we're going to take your AR-15.
Aaron, we talk about this investigation and the confidence that Americans can have. And I know you talked about being confident in the agents, but there's a lot of questions about the oversight and the individuals appointed by the Biden administration to run the FBI and to run these agencies. Talk a minute about your concern about that and what we should be looking for in this investigation. What should we expect here?
Man, we're going to expect, I tell you, we're going to see a lot of crazy stuff. And there's a lot of different things coming out right now, a lot of different theories and conspiracies, and now we have the FBI on the job, on the case. And like I was saying before, I wish I had a stronger, faith in our Federal Bureau of Investigation, but their track record's not that great. They got the Vegas shooting several years back that, we still don't know what's going on with that. We got the same federal agencies that went in and raided President Trump's home in Mar-a-Lago.
Right.
And, that was a complete debacle. Thank God the judge finally dismissed all those charges.
Yeah, thank goodness.
So that's gone. Like I said, I believe that most of the FBI agents, the field agents, the special agents that are on the job front line, I think they're all, for the most part, pretty patriotic folks. And they join for the right reasons. It's the folks that get promoted and appointed to positions of power and leadership in the agency. I've kind of referred to it in the past as almost like the fourth branch of government. It's the administrative part of the government that it's almost impossible to get rid of. And people are always talking about term limits. And I can get on a rabbit hole of this. Our politicians have term limits, or some of them do, some of them don't. But if we're going to put term limits on Senate and Congress, we need to put term limits on the fourth branch of government so that we can
absolutely,
control folks that stay there for 20, 30, plus years.
Yeah. If there's been any good out of the past 8 years of politics in America, is the spotlight has been suddenly put on that issue, that we have this huge administrative state, everybody's heard the term deep state, so we have this, basically a bureaucracy that is so overbuilt and has so much power and so much longevity, they can just outlast the people's choices of politicians that are set in place to actually regulate those institutions.
And that's an argument against term limits, because people say, well,
against term limits for politicians.
Right.
But he's saying, let's put a term limit on the administrative state.
That's what I'm saying. If we don't do that, if we don't do something about that, then the bureaucracy is going to continue to control.
That's exactly right. Yeah, it's a good example. People will say, with term limits, who ends up running your district is the staff, is McConnell's. Mitch McConnell's staff. When he's gone, it's the same staffer that's going to whoever this next. So same thing. And so, Aaron, and we'll segue into your story a bit. I think that some of the best news in the past 8 years has been sort of a grassroots response to these issues that's starting at the state and local level with candidates like yourself that have been everyday Americans that have been involved in government on some level, maybe you through the military, but are still just living their lives, and you're seeing this with a different perspective now, and so. And you are running. You have a race right now for District 7, which is let's talk about that real quick. That district is Shelby County, Henry County, Anderson County, parts of Jefferson County.
That's correct.
So, and you just had a hard fought primary against I think 3 or 4 opponents. It was very close, and you pulled that out, and we're glad you did. We were
Yeah,
rooting.
there was a three-way runoff there, and I haven't really been able to do the research on it to lock it in as fact, but I believe it was one of the most expensive, if not the most expensive, Kentucky State Senate primary in Kentucky history.
I totally believe it. Yeah, because I lived in the district. I live in Fern Creek, and so I saw all the trucks, the signs, the mailers. I was getting mailers from you daily, and I was like, "Where's?" It was impressive. I was really impressed.
They weren't all from me. I had, there was some PACs out there that were
That's
APAC
right.
in general that was helping me. Americans for Prosperity.
Mm-hmm.
Man, they had some cool stuff.
They did.
They really made it look good.
They sure did, and so it was impressive. So.
We are here to defend democracy.
Misinformation poses a threat to our nation's health.
Climate change is an emergency.
Democratic socialism.
Codify women's right to choose.
Hell yes, we're going to take your AR 15.
Stuff. I mean, I know you're cutting in and out.
Yeah, no, we can go back to that because I'd love to get your thoughts on those counter
We
snipers.
talked earlier before
Yeah.
my audio kept going in and out, but
Yeah,
like those rounds you said when the rounds started flying over President Trump, and one of them, you could hear that snap, 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 and that's something that I've heard many times. And when I heard it on the TV show there, or the TV, I was actually, me and my family were out doing hay in the field, and I was looking at it on my cell phone, and my wife was on the tractor and yelled back, "Someone tried to kill President Trump." So instantly I dropped the hay bale and I'm looking on there and I'm watching, and I hear this snap, 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 and that's 100% gunshots.
yeah,
And you hear some of the reporters talking about, well, CNN reported that there was a loud noise and President Trump fell and was rushed off the stage.
yeah.
More fake news. It's more obvious every time we see something like this. But there's a 150-yard shot, and I could tell you, I could train my 11-year-old in about 10 minutes to take that shot. Hit a pie plate at 150 yards is pretty easy with a rifle, especially in the prone position where he was.
Right.
There's a lot of aspects to that. We say we saw the videos of the Secret Service snipers, the counter snipers, who may have been local SWAT. Not 100% on what the facts are on that one, but you hear the rumors about they were watching him for 2 to 3 minutes, and you don't need. And they said they're waiting on approval to take the shot, and if there is a person with a rifle pointed at the person you're trying to protect, it should be done instantly.
Yeah.
There should be the whole point of you being out there as boots on the ground is a thing.
And since this is Kentucky's voice, I just want to mention our mayor here, since we talk about state and local issues, he was also, there was also an attack on the mayor here. We're seeing, is this concern to you, Aaron, about some of the environment that we have, or is this a one and off thing? Is this something we should be concerned about in the future from your experience? More of this type of
I would
activity.
say absolutely need to be vigilant because, they failed. We don't know for sure if this was a deep state, just a random act of violence. We don't know. But we have to assume that it's bigger than that. There was very credible intel that the Iranians were planning on assassinating President Trump.
Yeah,
and who
heard
knows
that.
if this guy was being controlled. We don't know because he's dead now. And, dead men fall on his tails. So, the FBI have their work cut out for them. And again, like I was talking about the FBI before, I wish I had more faith that, we were going to get all the answers from the FBI, and, they'll probably do a good job, like the special agents on the ground who are probably for the most part really patriotic, good folks that join this agency for the right reasons, but it's the folks above them in the higher levels that, my faith is not really all that strong that we're going to hear all the reasons why the things that happened. But
I want to add a shout out to the local, by the way, while you're talking about that, the local law enforcement did a great job when Mayor Greenberg was attacked. They were very competent.
Yeah,
they could provide our federal agencies maybe with some lessons.
Yeah, as opposed to the Butler PD that apparently confronted the shooter.
Yeah,
the rumors are they confronted the shooter on the roof and retreated, and for 2 minutes let the guy set up a shot. And that's if that's true. I mean, it's just so many issues. It's bizarre, isn't it? Exactly. Or at least get on the phone. Yeah, get on your radio. Hello, we got a shooter.
It reminds me of what happened out in New Mexico when the officers failed to go toward and face the danger.
Uvalde. So that's another issue, and we're probably over time, but we're going to keep going here because we can edit this. But I'm curious, Aaron. There is a real breakdown in competency in law enforcement, which is one issue, and there's also a breakdown in confidence in our institutions like the FBI and
all part of the plan.
It's all part of the, isn't it? It really feels like it's. That's right.
You demoralize these guys. It used to have where, my dad's a retired state trooper. I always wanted to be a state trooper, but, the reasons why I didn't do it had nothing to do with the woke nonsense that's going on that's threatening other folks. But you got generations of folks who, my dad was a police officer, my grandfather's a police officer, I'm gonna be a police officer. Those days, all those dads and grandpas are telling their kids, do not be a police officer. You will not get any support. Never mind the pay is horrible. But on the pay, teachers, cops, Navy SEALs, military, veterans, we don't join those deals because we're going to get rich. We know we're not, but we do it because we have a sense of honor and the job draws us. Nowadays, the policing job is not what it used to be because guys are getting, the best and the brightest, the cream of the crop that you want as a police officer. They're going to find something else to do,
right? And
causing the recruiting to go through the floor, and they're having to drag in. Drag in anybody they can get.
You're spot on about that, because one of the payoffs of being a police officer or someone serving in the military is the respect. It is the admiration of, hey, you are serving us and we appreciate you. And we've thrown that out the window, especially with law enforcement since 2020, 2022. Bob, what are your thoughts on that? I mean, the whole BLM thing has just destroyed that.
It's 100% correct. And, it's interesting that Aaron was endorsed by all the Republican sheriffs in his district, so that tells me that there is a lot of confidence in him, to go to Frankfurt and do the job that needs to be done. And again, I think it's more important than ever that we, as a nation, and we as citizens of the state of Kentucky, Commonwealth of Kentucky, that we unite and make certain that good people like Aaron Reed get elected to office. And because one thing I am confident in is when Aaron gets to Frankfurt, he is going to be fighting for the people, and I get a little bit of a chuckle out of Aaron. And it's interesting too, all of the quote unquote liberty candidates, and I like that title, to be honest with you. Every single one of them won.
That's right.
That the establishment was, coming after, and significantly outspent, in that process. So that tells me that the people of our state are a little bit more enlightened than the average Joe, So
people are sick of it.
No pun intended there,
Yeah. What's funny? I didn't even know what a liberty candidate was. I thought that I'm going to do this job. I thought everyone was a liberty candidate. What am I doing this for?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
This job, a friend of mine, he reminded me, because folks were like, well, your resume isn't as good as the other guys, or you this, that, and the other. And he reminded me that, God doesn't always call the qualified, but he qualifies the called. And when I heard him say that, it put chills down my spine, and I was emboldened even more. And I feel the light, lamp into my feet and the light into my path. And that's why I'm doing this.
Yeah. Well, listen, we're probably out of time, and but our clock's messed up. And I'm going to go ahead and wrap this up and say thanks for being on the show. Thanks for running for office and doing what you do, and thanks for your service, serving our country as a Navy SEAL. And so, Jim, any last thoughts you want to add?
No, I look forward to just working on developing some of these sound policies, getting our state moving in the right direction here in Kentucky, and it's going to take our Senate. It's going to take our Senate and our House to do that, and to stand up against a governor who has been less than liberty-minded
exactly
too many
right.
times.
So, absolutely.
Thank you.
Good deal.
Thanks, Aaron.
Good deal. Well, Aaron, thanks for your time. Bob, appreciate you being on the show. Jim, thank you. And you've been watching the station, and if you're in that District 7, which is Shelby County, Henry County, Anderson County, and parts of Jefferson County, you probably have, if you live there, you probably have seen Aaron's picture. His advertising it was just outstanding in that primary. So he's wearing the cowboy hat, just like you saw on the show today. And so vote for Aaron Reed and this November. So, and very good. Okay, well, you're watching the station. We'll see you next week.
Thanks, guys.